Can you even see her? She looks like a pillow, doesn't she?
We here at Mililani High School are celebrating our school's 50th anniversary. To commemorate this monumental year, we are recording 50 interviews from 50 different people who have shaped the school into what it is today. This is Mililani High School's 50th anniversary. Today's interview needs no lengthy introduction. Mililani High School's James Millwood reminisces amazing high school memories with his former student, Maggie Q.
Class of 1982. I'm here with my former student, Maggie Q. 1997, Maggie?
Yes! I love that you knew that and I had to think about it.
So when I think about it, I mean, just talking to you, this is the first time I think I'm talking to you since maybe 04, 05. By the football field when I was still coaching.
Yes.
Practice.
Oh, I came to visit you, right?
Yes. And players, we were running practice and the players were talking and there was a commotion going on and I turned around and yelled at them and told them focus and coach, there's two chicks over there that want to talk. And I look over and you're standing by the track waving and I'm like, oh my God.
What the heck? So fun. I know, I remember that. That was, I remember going back that trip and saying that I had to see you. And then I think we were emailing, right?
Yes.
And then I said I would stop by, but good old Millwood. So comforting too, to see you on the track field.
Yeah, I'm all done. I'm all done now. I stopped coaching football after 25 years in 07.
Oh, wow. Okay, so you've been done a while.
Yeah, then I went to softball because I'm the football coach with only daughters. So
Got it. Are you still coaching softball?
I'm all done.
You're done with all of it.
I'm a spectator parent now.
Nice. That must feel good.
Yes.
Right?
Relax.
Not have the pressure, relaxing.
Going back to, how old were you when you moved to Mililani?
God, I must have been there most of my life. So I was born in Tripler.
Me too.
And whenever if we land in Honolulu, which I rarely do, but if we land in Honolulu and I tell someone that's where I was born, the Pink Hospital, they always think I'm joking, but I'm not. I was born in Tripler, and then I believe that my family lived on a military base for a little bit, and then I think we moved to Mililani like shortly after that. I was a baby, so I think it's Mililani most of my life. Yeah.
So you attended Mililani Waiana?
Mililani Waiana, and then Wheeler. We didn't have they call it middle school now?
Intermediate middle school, yes.
Intermediate. We didn't have an intermediate school, remember, in Mililani at the time. So we all had to get bused to the Air Force Base and then bused home. And then we were able to come back home to go to high school, in Mililani after intermediate school.
And so
that was fun.
I went through the same. I just didn't attend Waiana.
Oh my goodness, so funny.
What memories do you have about Mililani High School?
Oh gosh. I loved sports, as you know. That was I admittedly wasn't a great student. I think, I don't know. I think that obviously kids learn differently, for sure. I think for me, I always wanted to be out there and have life experience. And that was like my goal. But I think on top of that, I think I was lazy. And I think that, and I think I could have been a much better student. But my focus, I just loved being physical. I loved playing sports. It was just my love. That was my first love.
So I know what you participated in, but let's go ahead and let our viewers.
Young people.
Yeah. I know you were cross country.
Cross country. I started my year with cross country and then swimming, and then ended the year with track and field. Yep.
I picture you, because I went to go watch running a 400 meter and I was impressed. I was impressed with
Really?
uh, the determination on your face. That's not an easy race. That's a tough race, the 400.
I feel like I'm such an emotional cutter, like with the things that I choose, because the 400 is like well, it's like purgatory because it's not distance, but it's not a sprint, but it is a sprint at a punishing distance. So yeah, that was kind of my event.
So in high school, you were talking. I didn't picture you as a lazy student. In fact, us talking here right now, I can go back to 26, 27. I think I had you as a sophomore first. And then,
Yeah.
um, same laugh, same attitude, same sweet, genuine Maggie. And, we just always got along. We're so
We
easy to
did.
talk to. And, but did you know this is what you wanted to pursue? Knew you wanted to get into modeling or acting?
No. Oh, definitely not. I wouldn't wish the modeling industry on my worst enemy because it's not a healthy space to go into for a young woman. I mean, unless you have a great support system and unless you sort of know that in the long run it's all very surface, and what you should really work on and value is not that, right? So if it's a means to an end, I think it's okay. And for me, it certainly was. I mean, I was not a model. I had a friend of mine who was very beautiful. She went to she went to Campbell, and she was a mixed race girl as well. And she, I think, started modeling young. She worked a lot in Japan, and she was just stunning. And she was a very good friend of mine. And she's the one that got me into doing jobs only because I needed the money and I needed to be able to kind of support what it is that I wanted to do. And so for me, it really was a means to an end. It wasn't something that I enjoyed. It wasn't something that was, I think it can be very punishing to a young woman's self-esteem to be surrounded by that. So I think for me, I never took it seriously. And I think that's why I came out the other end, not being affected by it negatively. I just thought everyone around me was a little bit silly for for putting so much emphasis on it, because at one point, it ends and the looks go and it's all done, and it's so fleeting, and and a very shallow industry. So I got into it thinking, God, I got to make some money. I want to save it. I want to be able to have the means to travel and do what I want to do. And that's exactly what I did. So I did it for a very short period of time. And I'm talking sort of bad about it, but I have to say that I'm very lucky. I mean, it gave me a savings, like I said, and it allowed me, some power in my independence. Let's put it that way.
So, do you remember doing leg reading with my wife when you were in high school?
Doing what reading?
Leg reading. Do you remember?
Oh, of course.
You were a high school student and you used to go to the airport with my wife and greet Ubers that would come up and give them lays.
I remember it, and I remember so fun. Well, I didn't remember, but now that you said it, I remember that it paid so well. For what it was, you were sort of standing there doing this, it wasn't exactly hard labor. So
I always found a guy and a girl, and I think the guy might have been JT Stam. I don't know why I'm thinking that.
Okay, yes, maybe.
JT,
I just remember Maka did it with me. Remember Sarah Ocampo?
Yes.
She did it with me. I remember.
Okay.
I don't remember the guys so much, but I guess, yeah, there were guys there. But yes, I remember it was so exciting. It was easy and it paid well. And any opportunity. Yeah, any opportunity for me to be able to put money in my savings, I was there with bells on.
And you guys moved your senior year? Did you move? Because I remember driving you down to Haleiwa a few times across the beach park.
I think we moved before my senior year. I think it was maybe beginning of junior year or when my sophomore year ended. We were building a house down there for a while, but we didn't have a ton of means, so we were building it very slowly. So we sort of like had the house and it was in motion for all of my high school years, and then we were able to move in. I believe it was my third year. So then again, I was having to get to Mililani too. I remember thinking that I might have transferred to Wailua. There was talk of like, should you transfer to Wailua? And I thought, I'm going to get beat up at Wailua like on a daily basis. I don't know if the girls there are going to like me very much. I was like, I think I'm going to stay at Mililani. So that's what I did. I just ended up commuting.
So when you were young, is there anyone who's made a difference in your life?
Well, I mean, besides you, I have to say that it's such an interesting time, high school, right? It's such a vulnerable time. And it doesn't matter what it is that you're going through, whether you have a stable family situation or you don't, or if your family has means or they don't, or if you have emotional support or whatnot. Whatever category you fall in, there's going to be some type of hardship that you're dealing with, right? Or some insecurity or something that you're looking for. And I think for me, with people like you, with people like Aka and Edwin and these coaches, like I said, I was so immersed in sports. It was my life. And so it was really less about teachers and more about sort of that coaching community for me. And like I said, I wasn't the best student, admittedly. So I think I gravitated more towards my coaches because I excelled more in sports than I did in academics at the time. And so I think at that time, what made a huge difference for me, and I'm not just saying this because you're on Zoom, or maybe I am, for Aka and Edwin and this community of coaches and people who were just so kind to us and who I felt genuinely cared about whether we made it. And whether that was making it in that we were winning or that we were the best version of ourselves or that we were going to get through with happiness and sort of joy in what we were undertaking and leave better. That to me was the biggest difference in my life. I mean, I would say that you guys, for me, were absolutely life-changing because I felt like I had this support system that was so solid. And the other thing about you guys was that you were such a stable energy. I mean, sometimes you go into the home environment or friendships in high school, as you know, it can be very volatile and there's no stability, right? Because one day people hate you, one day people like you, maybe you have siblings you fight with. So you do look for that stability. And I was definitely looking for that and the sort of kindness and that you guys provided, but also sort of seeing me for what I was and what I was good at. Because I think that it's very easy to magnify people's, I'll call it flaws for lack of a better word, or, the things that we're not good at. But to be able to look at someone and say, what I see is your prospect, what I see is what I know you can do, where I know you can go. I don't know that there is a better gift that you can give a kid.
Thank you. Did you know that Edwin is my classmate?
I did not know that.
Yes, we're class of '82 classmates. We just had our 40th reunion in October.
Oh, you're kidding. How was that?
Awesome.
Was it?
We have a good class. We always get together and we have a good time together.
That's amazing. That is way more than I can say. I've seen Edwin. Geez, I think the last time I saw Edwin, I had come back. This was years ago, but I had come back to see my parents, and I was staying on the North Shore, and we both went to go see Tim Marr at some race on the North Shore because Tim was competing, and I obviously, we graduated together, and I grew up with him, right? I mean, we had been in competitive swimming since I was, I think, like 7 years old.
He's a triathlon champion, and
I think he's a triathlon champion and ranked Ironman in the world. Yeah.
Yes.
which is utterly puzzling to me as a human feat. But because I have known Tim my whole life, I don't know that he would have done anything else. He was just so superior in sports, and he sailed through everything that we did. And I remember it. I mean, he worked hard. I'm not going to say it was easy for him. I'm sure it was easier than it was for other people, but he just had this natural ability like nothing I've seen.
Um, can you talk a little bit about, you have a foundation, or you have I know you've always loved animals. I know.
Yes.
I remember talking to you years back and about a shelter that you wanted to start. Just,
Right.
catch me up on what's going on with all of that.
First, I'll do that because there's one of them. There's one. Can you even see her? She looks like a pillow, doesn't she?
Avail.
Nevaeh. So, okay. So I have several foundations that I work with, and one in particular that I'm especially proud of because I I do work in animal rights. I work in human rights and I work in animal rights. So there's different areas that I lend my time and my voice and money to that I'm really, I think, more proud of than really anything, because I think that the industry that I work in, I mean, obviously not everyone has the same outlook, but I think it is a means to something that hopefully matters to you, and that big picture can truly make a difference. And I think that if you have a voice, or you make money, or you have a certain power. I work a lot on legislation in the California state legislature for animal protection and protection for kids. I also I have three companies. One that I'm going into my 9th year with is a supplement company called Activated You, which I founded about 10 years ago. So we're about 9 years in operation, that I've had great success with. And because of that success, I've been able to give back with proceeds from the company to one of the first organizations I supported when I was 20 years old. I was moved to Asia and was working in Asia. And there's an organization called Animals Asia that I got involved with activism, and became their ambassador many years later. And now with my company, I have become, in 20 something years, I'm now their largest donor, which is very exciting for me because it's come full circle. When I was 21, my 21st birthday party, I threw in Hong Kong. I asked for no presents, and I had a lot of rich friends at the time. And I basically told all my rich friends to give me money for this organization because it mattered. And at the time I was fine. I didn't need anything. So they donated generously, and I was able to donate anonymously to the organization. And it made me very happy. And I realized at that time that, one person, depending on your connections or what you can galvanize in people, you really can make a difference. I know that sounds very cheesy, but it really is true. And so at that time, I made a promise to myself that at some point, when I got into business, because I had always had a business mind, that I was going to turn it around for these organizations that I chose, that I had vetted, and support them in the way that I wanted to. And in 2008, when the financial crisis happened, I saw some of the best nonprofits in the world just dry up, because it was the first thing that people with money did. They stopped donating. And it was heartbreaking. And so I thought, there has to be a better way. There has to be a better way for these organizations to survive with grants and money that came from businesses to keep them alive when private donors stopped giving. So that's what I did. So I created the first company with that in my heart. And the second company is called Keep Up. It's an activewear company, and we use 100% recycled materials. We use ocean waste. And so all of our proceeds, not all of them, but our proceeds, our charitable proceeds, go to an ocean conservation group that I've worked with for 15 years. And my third company, which is coming this year, is going to be dogs and cats, a dog food company. And I'm starting it first overseas, But my plan for this one is going to be big because I've been for the last 20 years working with over 150 local groups on the ground in Asia. Mom and pop and grassroots groups have been doing great work, and I've seen them suffer. And so with this last company, no more companies after this, I'm done. With my last company, I want to be able to provide a stream of income for them. And that will be sort of my legacy and what I want to leave behind. And that I'll feel fulfilled after that happens.
Awesome.
So a lot going on.
Too much to be proud of. I'm very proud of you for
Oh, thank you.
so far and what you're doing.
I'm trying.
You mentioned your birthday back in 21. I'd like to wish you a happy. Isn't your birthday coming up?
On Monday.
Monday. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I'm getting old.
Well, if you think you're getting old, you know how I.
Ooh, I can't. Is it shocking to you sometimes when you have a birthday and you go, that's impossible? I don't feel like that.
Oh, yes.
Do you ever think that to yourself? I can't even believe it. I mean, I have sisters in their 50s. It just, how? Like, how is this possible?
I'm almost to the 60 mark, so.
I know, but I mean, when I was a kid, I'm like, oh yeah, my sister's 20 or 21 or 22, and they've always stayed that age in my head. So.
Your sisters, you had how many siblings?
5.
You're the youngest.
I'm the youngest of 5. I have 3 sisters and 1 brother.
And all swimmers, if I remember.
You know, the 3 of us were swimmers. My eldest sister was a diver, and my brother, I think he was a wrestler. I think he was in wrestling for a bit. I don't think he was.
They all attended Mililani High School.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We're all alumni, the whole family. So when my nephew went there, it was so ironic, you know, that it felt so, I couldn't believe that this baby that I had held is now at my high school. It didn't make any sense to me. And now graduated.
Yes, and he's in the graduated from Mililani just a few years ago.
Yep, 2 years ago.
He's in the military now, right?
He is in the Air Force. He's stationed in Louisiana. And I think every chance he gets, he flies home. Because, you know, you're from Hawaii, you live in Hawaii, you don't really get it until you travel internationally and you really, or within the US, how great of a place Hawaii really is and what a great community it is. And every time I run into someone who's from Hawaii, wherever I am in the world, it's always so obvious that they are, because there's a warmth there that you don't get from everyone.
I remember the last time we spoke, so we're going back to Balls of Fury days.
Okay.
Explaining to me, oh, I'm going to be in this ping pong movie.
That's a hard one to explain.
Is there anything else coming up that you can share? Or I just know my wife and I follow.
Oh, great.
So proud of you.
Oh.
And we're sitting at the house. We was a designated survivor.
Oh, yes. Uh-huh.
To think, why does she keep on going into the building alone? Why stick with your partner? But you know, I just had a blast watching it.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yes.
Funny, this dog right here behind me, the one that's sleeping, she was at a shelter across the street from our studio, where we filmed some of Designated Survivor. And so I was on a lunch break and I was like, oh yeah, I won't eat lunch today. I'm not hungry. I'm going to go check out the shelter. So I brought her home from Toronto. Designated Survivor was fun. It was a tough shoot because it was, East Coast, and, it's speaking to people from Hawaii. It is just abject misery being in that kind of cold. And we're always filming in the winter. It's fun. So I just finished a movie. When is it coming out? I actually don't know. So I just did this film called The Family Plan. I think it's going to stay The Family Plan. But what happens is, we make these films, it's a working title, and then we test the movie. And if the name doesn't work, it changes. So it doesn't always stay the same. But currently, it's still called The Family Plan. It was Skydance Entertainment for Apple. Skydance does, big movies. I worked with them before. They do the Mission Impossibles, they do the Transformer movies. They just did Top Gun Maverick. So, they're a great studio. So that movie is my friend Michelle Monaghan, who I did Mission Impossible with, and Mark Wahlberg. So that will be out this year, sometime this year. I'm still doing some voice recording for it, I think next month. So I think the film is being shown to the studio in a few weeks. So it'll probably be fall or maybe closer to the end of the year. But yeah, that'll be out this year.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. But we have a writer's strike right now in Hollywood. So,
Yes.
So it's a tough time.
Before we ended, any advice you would give to a high school, Mililani high school student? We just had graduation on Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they're gonna go out to the real world, and
Oof.
anything you can think of.
It's funny because, when I talk to my nephew, especially, because he's now out in the world, and it's a couple things. One, I love that the foundation of your graduates and the people that come from Mililani High School are rooted in Hawaii, because I just think it's a great place to be rooted in. I just think it's such a humble and warm place. And I think that to have those roots when you go out into the world, I think it's very valuable. People look at the world as very cutthroat, but at the end of the day, I think that people want to know nice people. They want to work with nice people. They want to be surrounded by good people. So I do think it's a huge benefit to know who you are and to have sort of like the heart of someone from Hawaii. One. Second thing that I talked to my nephew about was, when you're out in the world, it's such a strange time. There's no way to deny that we're living in a very, very strange time in the world, where information has to be disseminated and technology is so advanced, and we can scarcely keep up, and it's hard to know what's real and what isn't. But what I tell my nephew especially is, like, when you're out in the world, just make sure that you look at things objectively, and you try and know both sides. Do your research on both sides before you form an opinion. Don't be swayed by people. Don't be swayed by the news. Don't be swayed by friends. Use your own judgment, because generally your own judgment and your first instinct is going to be right. But, pad that and make it valuable with research, and just get out into the world and stay open. Because if I could do it differently, I would probably go out into the world thinking I knew much less. Because, when you're young, I don't know that you think you know everything, but you think you know more than you do. And I think it's really, really valuable to stay humble and know that from any person at any time, in any moment, you can learn something. And that's it.
And as you're saying that, I can honestly say that what you just said sounds true to who you are.
Oh, thank you.
Just us talking here 20 whatever years later, you're the same Maggie.
Wow.
Genuine, sweet, and I love you for it.
Thank you. I love you for it too. I've always loved you for you, and I'm lucky to know you. And any student that crosses your path is lucky the same.
Thank you. Well, I'm gonna end it here. With Maggie. Thank you for sharing your time and
yeah, of course,
life with us.
Anything for you. Happy 50th anniversary, Mililani High School.
Happy 50th birthday.
Thank you for watching today's video. Please subscribe to Mililani TV to keep up with more interviews about our amazing school.